I'm Gina Denn. I'm going to be demonstrating how to make some flowers out of clay. So I already made some flowers. I made these two yesterday. And they have little holes in the bottom. I'm going to set those aside so they don't break because they're dry and fragile. I just made these two. This one I made from some colored clay that I made by mixing a stain into my clay. I did that yesterday too. So I have a variety of tools here, but you can do this without using any tools, so I'm going to demonstrate that. I have some clay, and this is a ceramic clay. These will be fired, become very hard, and then I can glaze them. But you can use any kind of clay you have, or even Play-Doh. So air dry clay, Sculpey, and if you make them out of Play-Doh, there's even ways to preserve that for at least a few years. Just look it up on the internet. So to make these without any tools, you're gonna rip off or make little balls of clay. Rip off a little piece, make a ball, and then flatten it. Just squish it between your fingers. And you want it pretty flat, so squish it up for a while. And we're gonna make 8 of these for this, but you can make a lot more. They don't have to be the same size, but if you want to try to make them the same size, that's fine. I'd make some a little bigger than others, like half and half, some small and some bigger. I'm just gonna do kind of random. Just ripping off a piece and rolling it up. Squish them really flat, and especially one edge needs to be very flat, but I can get to that when I'm about to put it together. Okay, some of these are a little rough, but I'm gonna make them work. I'm gonna line them up smallest to biggest, approximately. It doesn't have to be perfect. That one might get bigger if I squish it flatter. Good enough. Okay, so making them this way, they have pretty rough edges, so I'm going to use a little water. Actually, I just dipped my finger in the water. I don't need the brush. And smooth just 1/2 or so, a third, one of the edges. This is going to be my center. I'm going to make a tight little turnover and roll it up. And that's the center. And the next one, same thing. I'm just gonna wet my finger if need be, maybe the type of clay you're using. You didn't get a rough edge when you squished them. Put it on this other side of this. Wrap it around, and I'm just squeezing it together at the bottom. That's going to become the stem end, so it can be squished a little bit. Just a little smoothing. Picking the nice side of this one. Because I made a few of these today, this clay is getting a little stiff. So that extra bit of water is helping it be softer. That's good too. as you start to move away from the center, get wider, more petals, you might want to flare them out a little bit. Experiment with different sizes, like they could go from these petals could get bigger and bigger as you go along, and then they'll wrap around more of the flower. That might look a little more realistic now that I think about it. But this looks pretty good. Almost there. That's good. I might be happier with more petals, but this is just a demonstration, so we're going to move along to the end. So now I'm going to blend and pinch the bottom half, elongate it by gentle blending and pinching. Squish that petal in a little bit. Let's pull it back. Oh, I kind of like that, where it flops over a little. And now I'm going to make some leaves and put those on. I actually really like that one. So take another piece of clay. You start by rolling it into a ball, but then flatten it. And then use different parts of your hand to roll it into a point at each end. This is going to make 2 leaves. Flatten that. Flatten it just with your fingers or the side of your hand. Pinch the ends into more of a point. And these don't have to be perfect. Still make nice leaves. I'm going to just use my nail, or you can use anything almost, to just draw a line down the middle. Tear it there, and use my nail to make some leaf lines on it. Okay, a little bit of water on the bottom. Blend it onto the stem. I like to use the side of my thumb for blending. Smoothing. Same on the other side. And then you might might want to attach this to something later. So hopefully you have at least a pencil at home. You don't need to do a hole in the bottom. Maybe you want to make it stand up though. I would flatten this. I could make a little stand for it or a base. Let's do that with this one. This is just for like display. Make that pretty flat. A little water. Attach it however you attach whatever kind of clay you're using. And get a little water and a little squish. It's going to be good for this. There, that one stands up. Adjust the petals if need be. There we go. So, others I made with tools. I'll do a little bit of that. So if you have some tools, there's another way you can do this. And you're going to start with the clay flattened out. So if you have some kind of rolling pin, like if you're doing this with Sculpey, you probably have a little rolling pin. Roll out a really thin piece of clay. I also have a pony roller. If you're a ceramic artist, maybe you have one of these. Or you can always just flatten with your hand if need be. Then I have these biscuit cutters. I got the two smallest ones. I'm gonna make just a small one to show you how I do it with tools. So maybe two small ones and two of the slightly bigger ones. But if you don't have cookie cutters, maybe you have some bottle caps and a knife. And you can use a bottle cap to draw a line. Now I wouldn't try to cut it out with this because, here I'll just show you if I do. Oh, that stayed there, that's okay. Sometimes it's hard to get it out of the inside of this. And those edges are kind of rough. So instead, I'd make a line with it and then use a knife or a needle or even just a sharp skewer and cut it out in a circle. And here's a bigger one. Let's see if we can get a couple big petals on this one. It's just my guide. Also use just a regular rolling pin if you have them. Okay, so then everything else is kind of the same. You need to flatten them even more, make the edges thin. That looks nice. This is also helping smooth out the texture from my canvas table. If you're working at home with not ceramic clay or anything, you want something that is, you might want something that is porous to work on so the clay doesn't stick. So a piece of wood or a piece of fabric. We got some big differences in size here. This is kind of an experiment. I haven't quite done it like this before.